had 10 fingers and 10 toes? Keep talking.
Ask your mother that last part.
I'm not sure if this is the actual part of Crowder.
Is coming.
Here we go.
YouTube is dead. And Rumble did it.
Okay, I think this is the announcement that I was going to make today, but I think Crowder made it
Starts
first.
next week, the 17th, 9 a.m.
That's awesome.
And some people are asking, are we going to continue, of course, Mug Club doing Rumble Premium content? Yes, we will. Yeah, what'll happen is those of you who are not Rumble Premium members yet, I highly recommend that you do. But if you still get an entire clock of free content. If you are a free Rumble member, you will just be ported automatically to the next show in the live lineup. And if you are a Rumble Premium member, you get to stay with us for the additional 45 minutes to an hour like we do every day.
Yeah, and then after that, we can actually port that audience if they want to go to the next show that's coming on live at that time.
Yes.
So you're not going to get any less content from us. Our show stays the same. We're just moving times.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's sort of true. We're moving times and we're actually going to start right on the dot.
Right on the dot.
Yes. There's no 10 minutes.
We start 10 minutes late because it's an old...
Do they announce the lineup here? Let me just scroll forward because this was the big announcement and I didn't want to screw up describing it.
There was no furlough. There was no back pay. It was not like a federal worker. And then, because we didn't violate any rules...
All right, he's talking about YouTube here. The big announcement, people. Let me just bring this out. The big announcement is that starting next week, Rumble is introducing something unique and something different. I don't have any guiding points on how to describe this, so I hope I don't screw it up. All that I know is that there's going to be effectively something of what is a Rumble Live network. Call it a network for lack of a better word. That Rumble is going to have its live streaming all day, and there's a lineup of live streamers, content creators, commentators, analysts who are going to be running their shows live and then rolling or directing their audiences into the next show as it goes throughout the day. And when I call it a network, it's like, Encryptus in the back, if I'm misdescribing this, let me know. It's like a network of like cable television, except not cable, not television, not legacy media, not propagandists, the independent voices you have come to know and trust on Rumble. And I was honored, flattered, and I dare say they might have made a mistake, but I'm not going to correct them on it. Bada bing, bada boom. I'm going to be part of the lineup that it starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's going to go until 10 o'clock at night. And it's going to be one live stream after another. Hold on. I think I have something of the lineup. Let me check my text messages over here. And I'm going to be the new show live is going to be 4 to 5 in the afternoon, which I actually think is going to be even more convenient and more better. It's going to be more convenient and more better, but let me just see here who's on the lineup without screwing anything up here. Starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. Evita from Bongino show. Then it goes 10 o'clock to Vince Caglianese. Then it goes to Steven Crowder at 11. Rolling over into Tim Pool at noon. Rolling over into Russell Brand at 1. Rolling into the quartering at 2. Rolling into me at 4. And then after that, I'm not sure who the lineup is. And that's not because I'm ending on me. It's just because I don't actually know who the lineup is currently. And so it's going to be an amazing, amazing idea. It's not going to change anything. We're going to have our locals after party, or I'm thinking I might even just restructure it and we have our locals pre-stream so that we can flesh out ideas and have a discussion before we go live. And the new schedule, Encryptus is texting me. It says, mention the new interview schedule times at noon, at least Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Well, Encryptus and we're working on a schedule that I'm going to start doing pre-recorded live stream interviews. And so the live show 4 to 5 o'clock with the after party is going to be the news of the day. And I'm going to start doing long format pre-recorded interviews in lieu of, not in lieu of sidebars. We'll still do those, and I reserve the right to do those. But it's going to be a matter. And like Patio Lantern says, it's going to be more better, and it's going to be amazing. Let me see here. The quartering. Okay. I wanted to do amazing cast. So it's fantastic. And the idea is it's very interesting in that everybody's going to roll their audience into the next show. For those who are on, I don't know if it's the Rumble Premium part, which then gives you access to after the Rumble Premium for the Rumble Premium content creator. Viva will not start 4 minutes. What are you I've never been late to a show of my own fault in my life. I'm joking. I've been late a couple of times. So that is the big news for next week. The new schedule is going to be 4 to 5 in the afternoon, and we'll decide whether or not we do a locals after party after the stream or a pre-party so that we can talk about the news of the day. what else was the news of the day? We're going to get there, people. Holy sweet, merciful crab apples. And before I forget, because I set this up and I want to make sure that I'm not going to run afoul of any of the rules on YouTube, because we start on YouTube and Rumble, and then we move over to Rumble, the free speech platform where we vote with our feet and our eyeballs, as we're going to do today. Did I mention in here that this stream contains a paid promotion? No, I didn't. There, I just clicked the button right now so that we can bring in our wonderful sponsor of the day, people, the Wellness Company. And let me get the video that they like me to play while we do this so that I can play the beautiful B-roll, people. Tell me can you hear this, Encryptus? Can you hear the audio when I play this? Because the last time I think people were saying they couldn't hear the audio. And then in which case I'm going to have to mention this to Rumble Studio. Check this out. Can you hear this? Encryptus, let me know. Can you hear audio right now?
Absolutely nothing.
You hear nothing. Well, then I'll read it in this guy's voice as we do this. It says, what are the main differences between ivermectin and fenbendazole? These are two antipathogens used to treat parasitic infections and other similar types of conditions. They are used quite often in the oncology world to treat cancer. They both have as anti-pathogenic abilities, and there was some corny piano music in the back to let you know what's going on there. Let me tell you what's going on. Could your health issues be caused by an invisible enemy, fatigue, bloating, brain fog? What if parasites are the real culprit? There are a number of deep cleanses, parasitic cleanses out there, and let's say we trust the Wellness Company in particular. Did you know that 50% of Americans have some form of parasites? They are everywhere in our food, water, and our pets, especially crazy cat lady pets. They secretly invade your body, wreaking havoc on your gut, energy levels, and even your brain. And the mainstream medical system, they don't want you thinking about it, because one great cleanse can change your life. The Wellness Company has a solution for you. Ivermectin, I always screw up the way they say this, mebendazole, pronounced mabendazole, both FDA approved to treat parasites, now combined in a parasitic cleanse combo that wipes out many of these invaders. Fill out the brief medical intake form and you get a 3-month supply. Lots of parasites cleanse are all over social media, but you get the one with the gold standard from the Wellness Company. Maha is officially here, and the Wellness Company is making these hard to get medications digitally accessible, and they can help improve your life, maybe even save it. TWC.health/Viva gets you $60 off, free shipping. This is for our audience only. TWC.health/Viva. Don't wait to cleanse your body. Take control today. Now, one thing I don't want to make sure, some of what the Wellness Company offers are available in the US only. Others are not. Let me just make sure about this one to see if it's only available in the US or not. Give me 1 second. Let's see here. The parasitic cleanse is available only in the US. So Canada, I don't know how you're going to get it there via contraband, but that is it. Link in the description. Thank you, the Wellness Company, for sponsoring this show. Now, getting into it, people. Let me just make sure that we are good across all platforms. We are live on Rumble, obviously. We are live on vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Let me see what's going on in here. T. Lee 1776 says, I always have brain fog. I tell you, I don't know what brain fog is. I know what perpetual distraction is, like having a movie screen constantly running behind your mind's eye. Red Team 33 says, good morning, gentlemen. We are live here. And CommieTube is, we're here as well. So the news of the day, people. The coronation of King Carney is complete. It's so good when you come up with like a beautiful alliteration. It's going to be my next kid's book. The coronation of King Carney, and the glee of the globalists and the global community. Check this out for those of you who don't know. Today was the day that Mark Carney was sworn in as prime minister. And I brought in, here we go, watch live. Look at this, guys. Look at this.
Of Willowdale near Toronto, another kind of GTA area riding since 2015, is the third and final new member to be, or a new minister rather, to be sworn in. He becomes the Minister of Government Transformation, Public Services, and Procurement. That is a new name, at least in some respects. It's sort of a combination of the Ministry of Citizen Services, which was established back in July of 2023. Terry Beach served as minister.
And nobody cares about this any more than that. Mark Carney has been sworn in as Canada's next unelected, anointed prime minister. The one thing I want to check, and I want to do it in real time because I haven't refreshed the page since, you will recall that Mark Carney was he had his profile updated on the WEF website. This is the World Economic Forum. Authors, Mark Carney, up in the URL. Let's just see. It says Mark Carney. This was the Prime Minister designate. Maybe it's always going to keep the word Prime Minister designate. Encryptus, is it going to keep the word Prime Minister designate until there's a next general election? If you can find that answer out, I'd be curious. Now I'm thinking they might actually just keep that because they can't say Prime Minister elect because he wasn't actually elected. He was quite literally designated. He's the new leader of Canada. Justin Trudeau, he's the man who's been advising Justin Trudeau for the better part of 5 years on global policies, climate crisis, et cetera, et cetera. And I should put climate crisis in quotes. The next leader, and when I say that he's been designated and not elected, you all know this if you're in the locals community, and you all know this if you follow me on Twitter. I was looking in just to confirm some of the stories as to how he was elected, who had the right to vote, and I went to the Liberal website to actually see who the heck had the right to vote for this guy. You understand, we talked about it with Ezra Levant on Monday. There were apparently 400,000 votes from so-called registered Liberals that determined this man as the Prime Minister of Canada. Of those 400,000, apparently they disqualified 2/3. Don't know why, don't know how. Hasn't been much reporting on it, and not for lack of trying. I think it's not something that's widely accessible by way of information. 152,000 votes were tallied for the purposes of the designation of Mark Carney as the new Prime Minister of Canada. I went to the Liberal rules just to see what they actually were. It's stunning. The leadership vote rules, these are what allowed people to vote for the purposes of the 2025 leadership vote. The rules, the following meetings, yada, yada, yada. The definitions, we don't care about this, unless there's something in here that we care about. We don't. What I really cared about was who had the right to vote. Look at this, people. Registered Liberals. This is real life. This is Canada. This is democracy. Eligibility to vote. Section 2.1.1. To vote in the leadership vote, a person must be a registered Liberal as of 5 p.m. Eastern Time on the 27th. Understand that. In order to vote, you had to be registered by this cutoff date. And what's the criteria to be a registered voter? The criteria to register as a registered Liberal include being 14 years of age, 14 and over, a Canadian citizen, permanent resident, or person with status under the Indian Act. So I guess at least they let Native American, Native Canadian, Indians. They let Indians vote. That's how they call it under the Indian Act. It's still called the Indian Act, people. So don't accuse me of any racism here. 14 years and over. Which means that of the 152,000 votes, first of all, I want to know how many of them were newly registered. How many registered right before the cutoff date? Where were they from? What were their ethnicities? What were their ages? And when I say ethnicities, are these late registrants in primarily, I don't know, bust in from Chinese interests? I mean, I'm entitled to know that. 14 years of age and a permanent resident, which means Canada's future, at least for the foreseeable future, this is their rules, was determined or could have been determined by non-citizen permanent resident children aged 14 to 18. It's real life, people.
To answer your question, before designate drops off when they're sworn in, just like president-elect.
Okay, fine. So then they should. WEF, when are you going to update your website? Like, this was a lose-lose for the WEF, because as soon as they update their website, you know damn well I'm going to go say, that was fast. They're looking. So that's it. So they'll drop the designate and they'll say Prime Minister. And we'll see how long it takes them to do that, because it's their boy now that is in charge of Canada, much to the detriment of Canada. Clown Show says skeptical. Bucklebrush Jones says 14-year-olds make great decisions. No, but some people were saying it tongue-in-cheek, facetiously, glibly. They try to lower the age of consent. Sorry. They try to lower the age to vote. And then the question is, what else do they want to lower the age? I mean, if someone is old enough to vote for the Prime Minister, what are those pervert pedos going to say they're old enough to consent to by way of other conduct? Hormone blockers, double mastectomies, bottom surgery, consent. Canada already was once at the age of consent of 14 years old, and then they upped it to 16. The Conservatives did it back in 2002, 2006. That's what's going on in Canada. 14-year-olds know nothing. I can tell you one thing: 14-year-olds can certainly be egged on to do what their parents want them to do, or what Mao Zedong wants them to do. So that's it. This is it. We've entered a new era. The news. Where's the news reporting what Carney's going to do? I had an article out here. Here we go. Look at this. Is this it right here? NDTV. Mark Carney to be sworn in as Canada PM tomorrow. This was yesterday, so maybe this isn't the one I wanted. Former central banker Mark Carney will be sworn in as Canada's next prime minister, along with his cabinet, the governor official's office announced Wednesday. The new leader had promised a seamless and quick transition as he takes over from Justin Trudeau. I love this. A political novice at age 59. He was overwhelmingly elected the new leader, winning 86% of more than 150,000 votes cast. His jump into politics after formerly heading the Bank of Canada and Bank of England comes at a time with trade tensions among the U.S. In his victory speech to supporters, Carney struck a defiant tone towards Washington, saying, "In trade and in hockey, Canada will win. Not if your team was playing against 100 players, you moron." How many players are there on hockey? There's 5. I'm not that stupid. Yeah, there's 5. So Carney, as in a trade, as in hockey, Canada will win. Only when you're playing 5-on-5, but that's not how trade works, because trade, you're basically playing a team of 50 with your team of 5. And no, in no realm of the universe, unless it's NHL playing against kindergartners, would a group of 5 beat a group of 50. He's ready to sit down with Donald Trump to negotiate a renewed trade accord in a bid to avoid further economic tussling. That's very interesting. And I believe I said this from the get-go as well. Everyone's like, Viva, you already have a trade agreement with the States. Trump doesn't need to impose tariffs. There's already a trade agreement called NAFTA. I was like, yeah, and he might want to renegotiate it. And he might be using the fentanyl crisis and the terrorist crossing or terrorist watch list crossing as a pretext to renegotiate NAFTA. So congratulations, you played into it by not satisfying those two concerns. But lo and behold, that's exactly what they're going to do. Sit down and renegotiate. NAFTA might be dead, and they might have NAFTA 2.0. That wasn't exactly the article that I wanted to bring up, but it pretty much sums it up. We've got Carney in here now, who thinks that it's 5-on-5 hockey when it's 5-on-50 hockey when it comes to a trade war. Unelected, using 14-year-old children to get to that point in time. And I want to know who voted for. I want the breakdown, age, citizenship status, in order to know. All right, well, that's what's coming out of Canada. Do we have a new person joining? We do. Flapper Dog donated, or at least it's qualified as donated, or it writes it down as donated, but I believe you have now become a member of our vivabarneslaw.locals.com community. Welcome to the community. And Zamork says, no laid-back law today. No, I couldn't do it today anyhow. I want to do my show, but it might be easier going forward if I don't have the 12:30 time slot. And I'm doing the Unusual Suspects immediately after this, so stay tuned for that. It's going to be a fun one. Maxime Bernier in the PPC says RB Ham over on Rumble are the only hope for Canada. I hope the propagandized citizens of our benighted country realize this, though. RB Ham, we can be realistic. Maxime Bernier is not going to be prime minister after the next election unless Pierre Poilievre keeps on screwing up, and it looks like he might. It should be Pierre Poilievre. Then the only question is going to be how big a majority, if any, is the Conservative going to have? And then the question is going to be, will there be true voices, not of opposition, but of common sense policy in the House of Parliament if just a few members of the PPC get elected? Encryptus, did I bring...
Yeah, go relevant super chat on YouTube as well.
Let me go to see which one that is. Hold on. I'm not in this stream on YouTube, so I can't see it. Hold on, I'll bring it back up here. I think I should be able to get it. Is it a $4.99 from One Old Guy's Opinion, which says Hydra has placed another globalist head, Trudeau head gone, another grown in. Hail Hydra. Was that it, Encryptus?
Yep, that's about what they did.
Wait, may I ask a stupid question? Who's Hydra?
Hydra is from the Marvel universe. The bad guys, they're all Nazis.
Wait, I'm not. That will not resonate with me because I don't watch those. I call them stupid movies. I don't watch Marvel movies. I think they're all terrible, stupid. But let me bring it up here. Why can't I even see the? I can't see the. I can't bring up the super chat. So I didn't know, but it's the reality is that Mark Carney was unknown to a great many of us lesser known to some of, or at least lesser known to me, not totally unknown, but unknown to a great many. He has been advising Trudeau on global policy, especially climate stuff, for the longest time. And he had been advising Trudeau, appears out of nowhere, although we've now learned that he is Chrystia Freeland's son's godfather. And it's going to be not just the continuation, it's going to be without the messenger aspect of Trudeau's government. I do want to play one clip. I got it right here. I want to play this one. Because I played these clips when I was exploring who Carney was and I was exposing it to the world, but the 152,000 14-year-olds don't really care about this stuff. Listen to this. I won't play the whole thing, but I'll play some of it.
What is the role of offsets in the context of a 1.5-degree climate ambition?
Well, thank you, Nicole, and let me compliment the leaders of this task force. It's a remarkable achievement. First thing to say is that this carbon budget is very precious. On business as usual, so pre-pandemic emissions, we have less than a decade of a carbon budget to remain within 1.5-degree temperature increases. So it is a limited carbon budget, and in that context, really a voluntary carbon offset market does four things.
Voluntary carbon offset market, which means that you can willingly choose to purchase up the carbon emissions or sell yours if you don't use as many as you're allotted. Voluntary for now, but we've all seen what happens during COVID. It starts voluntary and then it's no longer voluntary. And just appreciate his demeanor, the way he speaks, like John Kirby, like Andy, who's the guy from the CIA, FBI, like all of these deep state apparatchik people. They have that same very nasally, intellectual way of talking, very calm. It's all the same demeanor. Even John Bolton to some degree.
The first, it's complementary, I underscore that, complementary to companies' efforts to reduce absolute emissions. Companies' responsibility, first and foremost, is to reduce their absolute emissions. And as the report says, they need to first reduce, then report, including net zero plans. And I'm sure we'll get into the specifics of that. And then, only then, look to offset.
Pause. Appreciate also that this is at a Davos Agenda WEF electronic forum where other speakers like Bill Gates was speaking at this particular panel.
The second thing that this does is it is catalytic. It's catalytic not for renewable projects in many advanced economies where the economics are absolutely clear. They are profitable and they will be driven, but they're catalytic for projects that many of which are in emerging and developing economies where the economics are not yet quite there. And this can help tip the balance for those projects to come in. These offsets can also be catalytic as part of helping the economics of absolutely essential breakthrough technologies that need to happen for us to ultimately get to net zero. And I'm sure that will come up more clearly because Bill Gates has led on those technologies.
So you have to understand, as far as I understand it, the chat will correct me if I'm wrong. They're using these offsets where the prices that Western technologies are going to pay into this to improve the technologies. This is the argument in third world or developing nations, who nonetheless are going to be able to continue producing dirty energy, whereas the Western markets are going to cripple their economies in order to get to net zero. China, India, I think China pollutes more than every other country combined, if I'm not mistaken. Fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure. They're going to continue to pollute while Canada and the West cripple themselves in an attempt to achieve net zero. And now when you couple that with things that Mark Carney has said before in his Q&A or cross-examination with Pierre Poilievre, he's investing in the dirty energies pipelines of other countries that don't impose these limitations on themselves, while I presume betting for whatever he's imposing by way of policy in Western countries. That's Mark Carney. That's Canada. You got Canada now. In the articles from today, he's going to be traveling to France and England next week to shore up the alliance with the European Union that he's been serving for the last decade as governor of the Bank of England. A European Union which is as fascistic and tyrannical as they claim Putin to be. So that's it. K-Man 2020 says stupidity has no limits. Anyway, so that is the bottom line of what's going on in Canada. God help Canada. I'm not using any Lord's name in vain. I sincerely mean it. Encryptus, I pulled up the picture of the blocking off of American alcohol at Canadian liquor stores?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So I'm going to bring that up. No, it's they're talking about relations with the U.S. being at an all-time low. Carney, when he was doing the liberal debate, talking about how he's going to go, we're going to win. It's like hockey. We're going to dollar for dollar tariffs, threatened with electricity. Relations are at an all-time low, and they're brainwashing Canadians into thinking that the Canadian suffering isn't a thing of American doing. That is it. Okay, people. Now, the other good news of the day, there's two good things. We're not going to only poo-poo on Pam Bondi and Kash Patel. We can't poo-poo on Pam and Patel, to keep going with the alliterations. No, I have to pause. Just one last thing. Did we, Encryptus, I'm going senile. We didn't talk about this yesterday.
Nope, not at all.
I had it in the backdrop and we didn't get to it. Before we go over to Patel and Bondi over on Rumble, let's just finish it. So like the dagger in the subject matter that is Canada. I had to, like, as a kid, you have to go like, okay, this is 1. That's 10. That's 100. That's 1,000. That's 10,000. That's 100,000. That's 1 million. That's 10 million. That's 100 million. That's 1 billion. That's $11 billion, people. Encryptus, while I'm talking about this, can you pull up the tweet with Omar Algebra, who just was praising the fact that he gave 84 million to Syria? I won't belabor the point of what's going on in Canada, literal death and destruction. And my major issue is that this tariff war will now be used and abused by the Liberal Party to recreate a reality in which all of the Canadian suffering is as a result of the consequences of the tariff war and not actually predating it by a decade, if not more. As Canadians go hungry, as Canadians literally die in ER rooms of overcrowded hospitals, as they literally die on waiting lists, literally, as they literally overdose in record numbers because of the fentanyl crisis, where has our money been going? This is from the Western Standard. I don't think I've ever been burnt by the Western Standard. $11 billion spent on overseas gender programs during Trudeau's tenure, it's been 10 years now, but I don't know if we'll see. We'll get into the details. Over the last 10 years, the government of Canada has spent around $11.2 billion on overseas gender initiatives, focusing on projects directly targeting gender equality and women's empowerment, as outlined in Canada's Feminist International Assistance Policy. Oh my God, is this called FAP? No, that's really... They don't understand anything about optics. Canada's Feminist International Assistance Policy, that FIAP is awful close to FAP, which is not a word you want to have when you're talking about this type of stuff here. The figure is a conservative estimate as it primarily includes gender-targeted aid and doesn't account for the full value of gender-integrated projects, which could add billions more if fully calculated. Trudeau announced FIAP in the House of Commons in 2017, emphasizing Canada's commitment to gender equality. We are here today to launch Canada's Feminist International Assistance Policy, a policy that puts women and girls at the center of everything we do in international assistance, because we know that when women and girls thrive, everyone benefits, he said. Trudeau promised to balance the budget by 2019. They never did it. The largest, the 9 consecutive deficits, the largest was 2023, 2024. And you see how they do it there. They blame that on COVID, even though their inability to balance the budget predated COVID. This is how they create crisis, to literally erase the original cause of the crisis. I'll stop there because it's nauseating. This is
the Omar's statement into the chat there. You can bring that one up too.
In the private? Okay, awesome. Yeah, This is the same feminist government that literally just disqualified a woman, Ruby Dalla, from the liberal leadership race, ran 2 coy women as clearly as ploys or as distractions, because now that we know that Chrystia Freeland's godfather of her son is Mark Carney, you can question whether or not it was ever a legitimate quest in the first place. Justin Trudeau allegedly groped a reporter, fired his woman Jody Wilson-Raybould as Attorney General Mojag, elbowed an NDP lady in the boobie, is alleged to have done terrible things. Alleged. The NDA has yet to see the light of day. This man is talking about gender equality when they run the most misogynistic, at least by their own standards, administration in the history of Canadian politics. $11 billion. That could have done... What's the budget of the healthcare? That's 360. I think it's 360 billion. So that would be a drop in the bucket for healthcare, but that certainly could feed a few kids. And then you got your dude here. What's his name? Yeah, report here. Look at this. Then you get what's his face? Algebra. The Liberals have announced that they will be restoring diplomatic relations in Syria. With the new Al Qaeda government lifting economic sanctions and providing $84 million in aid from Canadian taxpayers. They love women so much and they support women so much, they're now going to give 84. It's in aid, though, people. It's not going to get in the hands of the terrorists. It's only going to go to the people who need it. As Christians are getting slaughtered in this Al-Qaeda hellhole, where everybody knew it was going to happen. Some people predicted it was going to happen publicly and proudly. And now I guess they're, sad to be right. But that's where our tax dollars are going. So 11 billion to gender crap and now 84 million in aid to Syria, where if it's anything like Ukraine, half of it's not going to get there. And that which gets there is only going to feed the very same people who are now slaughtering Christians and abusing of human rights in the most egregious possible ways. All right, peeps, that is it. We're going to go over to Rumble now. Talk about Patel, Pam Bondi. What else did I have to talk about? There's other stuff. Let me make sure I didn't miss any CommieTube super chats. I don't think I did. So get ready Monday. It's going to be 4:00 in the afternoon, everybody. Carney said he supports Hamas, says Ron. I'd have to see that. I should have mentioned these words. You mentioned these words on CommieTube, and holy crab apples, it's like you don't exist anymore. All right, we're ending on Twitter and CommieTube. Come on over to Rumble. Oh, I didn't put the link in. While you do that, hold on. Link to everything here. While we do that, I'll put the pinned comment up here and read 2 super chats, Rumble rants, and tipped questions over on Viva Barnes. So come on over to Viva Fry on Rumble or vivabarneslaw.locals.com. What do we got here going on in locals? Oh my God, Viva Fry and Encryptus. Have you seen this yet? The Canadian Independent, former Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, personal photographer, captured Trudeau crying in the Governor General's office this morning on his last day of office. Gypsy Muse, this is not at you. This is at the drama teacher. Dude might just have COVID for the 5th time, blowing his nose. Persona non grata in his own country for the rest of his life. I often say that heaven and hell are the same thing, an eternity of listening to what people have to say about you in your absence. You can have hell on earth, and Justin Trudeau will forever live in hell on earth of his own making for the rest of his life. Persona non grata in perpetuity in his own country. King of Biltong is in the house. Make your way over, people. Anyone on CommieTube, come on over to Rumble. King of Biltong says, looking for some healthy snacks to add to your diet? Try our Biltong, almost 50% protein, plus it's packed with B12, creatine, iron, zinc, and much more. Go to BiltongUSA.com, code VIVA for 10% off. And if you like a spicy beef jerky Biltong, the Wagyu Ghost will burn your face off. The Piri Piri is perfect spice and delicious. And you can get the little girl, regular Angus, delicious Biltong with no burn. Okay, we got those here. And now we shall update and go over to the free speech platform.